Hello, and you are welcome to Dan and Darragh Do Ability. I'm Darragh McNicholas.
And I'm Darragh.
So, this is episode 2. If you haven't heard episode 1, you can catch us again on SoundCloud. We're there. You can catch us on
Facebook.
Yeah.
At Dan and Darragh Do Ability.
Yeah. And
Twitter. At Dan and Darragh Do Ability again.
yeah, and Instagram.
Same handle.
Same handle. This is
Dan and Darragh Do Ability.
Absolutely. And we have an email account on it. It is
Dan and Darragh Do Ability
@gmail.com. So, this week we are going to be talking about, as we promised last week, we were going to be talking about driving.
Yeah. And I think from a personal perspective, this is something that has always interested me. Because, well, I suppose I should start off with the fact that I don't drive currently.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing I've seen you in your wheelchair.
Yeah. I drive around in my wheelchair, but disclaimer, I do not have a license.
No, he doesn't, and I don't think anyone would give him a license in his current abilities at reversing, which
are non-existent. I would say.
There's no beeping.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I don't drive at the minute. I currently get a taxi into college, so I think for me it's interesting because it's something that I would like to do in the future at some point from an independence perspective, and I suppose for you, our listeners, I think it provided us with a good opportunity to show and tell you, I suppose, what's out there for you from a driving perspective, whether you've driven before, whether you haven't driven yet, or whether you're getting back into driving.
Yeah, and I know when we started looking at this, the thought that did cross my mind was, why are we not there with sort of self-driving technology? Why can't Dan just ramp into the back of some sort of a vehicle? Anyway, we say vehicle here. And drive it just like he would his wheelchair with a joystick, not necessarily having to necessarily have a steering wheel and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But how far away are we from that technology and that day? I know there was a bus that went down along the quays. It was only a test thing. It was done by Dublin City Council.
Yeah,
3 or 4 people on it, and was able to go up and down the quays, and that was great. Why can't Dan do that?
Exactly, and I think it's gotten to the point where we seem to have some of the technology, but when does it get to a point where it's actually it's usable, so to speak? And then again, where can people get it from, and how do they go about getting it? And yeah,
that's okay. Sorry, just distracted Dan because of his finger on his nose, and it was you could probably actually hear that. Yeah. So, but no, a couple of weeks ago we took some time out and we went down to the RDS, where we went to the Disabled Drivers Motor Show, which is on, I think it's every 2 years, I think.
Yeah. So it was on from the 28th to the 29th of September. So it was over the 2 days. And Darragh started off by chatting to the marketing manager for the Disabled Drivers Association, Richard Ryder, and he began by asking him, what is the Disabled Drivers Motor Show?
Okay, we're here this morning at the Disabled Drivers Motor Show in the RDS, and I'm with Richard Ryder.
Good morning. So, as you say, the Disabled Drivers Motor Show and Conference is taking place in the RDS, 27th and 28th of September. This is the third time this event has taken place. The first one was 2014, then 2016, and now 2018. We do it every 2 years. We find that's enough. So basically what it is, I suppose, is everything you need to know about motoring with limited mobility under one roof for 2 days. Everything you need to know in terms of every type of vehicle will be here with conversions, low floors, hand controls. So all the main motor manufacturers will be here: Ford, Renault, Fiat, Volkswagen, exhibiting the latest cars that are on display. So we'll have over 50 vehicles on show, and then we also have related companies who would also do the conversions, put the low floors in, do the hand controls. We have the revenue commissioners here, the Disabled Drivers Association are here, giving information on the various schemes that are available for people with disabilities to drive. Some wonderful technology here. I've seen a car there which can pretty much nearly drive on its own. It's a wonderful piece of kit. The gentleman that bought it is a double amputee, and he'll be able to drive this car himself using a joystick. So technology has really come on and enabled people to continue to enjoy driving, no matter what difficulties they find. I'd say the Disabled Drivers Association run the show. I work with the Disabled Drivers Association. I'm the marketing manager. We're based in Ballantyne in Claremorris, County Mayo. We are on the go 50 years at this stage. We're a charity. Part of our remit and part of our job is to administer the parking card on behalf of the Department of Transport.
Okay, Richard, you mentioned there that the Disabled Drivers Association is going for 50 years. I'm a bit surprised, actually. Give us a bit of the history on that.
Yeah, I suppose back in 50 years ago in rural Ireland, for people with disabilities, it was a lot different than it is now, and to try and get around wasn't the easiest thing to do. So Disabled Drivers Association was set up to try and help people to be active in the community and to get out driving. And believe it or not, it's 50. Couldn't believe we had our 50th birthday there a couple of years ago. Set up by local people for the local community, and it's just grown and grown and grown from then. And as I said, I mentioned technology has come on so much now. I mean, back in 50 years ago, guys were doing this in their back garden, hammering two bits of metal together to try and get some sort of an old hand control together to, so that someone could drive the car. Whereas now, of course, it's all, ISO 9000 and all this kind of stuff. Everything now has to be stamped and European approved, and which is good, but it certainly has changed over the years, and for the better, I don't think there's anybody that can't drive now if they really, really want to. And that's the most important thing, and that's what we always try and strive, is to help people to either start driving, to continue to driving, or to get back driving, because somebody maybe has had an accident or something and they haven't been driving for a couple of years or whatever, and after an illness, and then they might want to go back drive.
You also mentioned advances in technology. How much further do you think it can go?
Well, we all have heard about driverless cars, and I suppose that's where it's going. So we won't need to have any drivers anymore in the future, I suppose. But how long that's away, I don't know. But even there last week in Dublin, they had the first autonomous bus going. I know it was only going up and down the straight line, but still, look, that's the start. And I think the Tesla cars now, and there's so much money behind this with Google and all these people, and if they want it to happen, it'll happen, and so that's where it's going. But for the moment, anyway, we still need a steering wheel and an accelerator and a clutch and a brake. But it's fantastic.
Do you feel in dealing with government that there's an appetite for driverless cars and bringing in legislation that's going to allow that?
Absolutely. I mean, there's always, it's like, I suppose, when planes first started to fly, there's always going to be, I suppose, trial and error, and government will have to make changes. There will new laws come out. I mean, insurance, just think of it alone. I mean, who's responsible if a car crashes and hits somebody, or hits a wall, or hits another car? Insurance, I suppose, will have to be kind of looked at. But yeah, that's out of my league. So we leave it up to the powers that be to work on that one. Yeah.
Brilliant, Richard. Thanks very much, and thanks for having us in here today to see the show. And we're going to go inside now and have a little look around.
You're very welcome, lads, and thanks a million for coming.
That was Richard Ryder, and we are actually very, very thankful to Richard for letting us in to wander around and just kind of, talk to the suppliers that were there and the people who are advertising their wares. So we went and we had a look then through the process of how do people with a disability or a mobility issue, how do they get to the point of getting behind the wheel, really. Mm-hmm. So then we had a chat with...
Barry.
It was Barry from the Irish Wheelchair Association.
From the Irish Wheelchair, yeah. So he talked to us about the, I suppose, the step-by-step process that was I started off by asking him what kind of, if I wanted to get up tomorrow morning and start driving, what would I do?
Hi, my name is Barry Reid and I am a driving assessor with the Irish Wheelchair Association. My job entails meeting people who have either been born with a disability or who have acquired a disability and want to learn to drive from scratch or return to driving, as I say, after acquiring a disability.
So Barry, from my perspective, if I wanted to wake up tomorrow morning and decided I want to drive, what would the process be for me to kind of go through that and get to a stage where I could begin to learn to drive?
Okay, well, the first thing you'd have to sort out is, have you got a license or a learner permit? The majority of people that are either mostly born with a disability will have to go through the whole theory test process. That is where you would have to go in, do a theory test, pass it, and that then entitles you to a learner permit to start driving.
And then there's the same process for going through lessons. It's the same amount of lessons and that kind of.
The process, whether disabled or able-bodied, is exactly the very same. Anyone going through the theory test scenario at this stage and getting their permit has to do what's called 12 EDT lessons, a minimum of 12, before they are entitled to go for their test.
Okay, and in terms of today, have you had much feedback from people looking to learn to drive?
The majority of the people we would see would be people who have acquired a disability, as in somebody who's had a stroke, brain hemorrhage, amputation, ABI, things like that, and they would have driven for 20, 30 years maybe, and now want to get back to driving, whether it be as it was before in their own manual cars, or maybe coming into a car with an adaptation of some shape or form. The process for them will be, no more than somebody starting to drive, is they come in and we do an assessment, and the assessment takes place depending on where the person lives in the country. We will bring them into the local centres, and there is a process we go through to discover, number one, are they suitable to return to driving or start, or maybe not in some cases. There are occasions, unfortunately, where we bring somebody in and it just isn't possible. Things maybe haven't worked out, things maybe haven't come back to the way they were.
And what does that process involve? Like, do you go through certain steps or?
The first step is an application form has to be filled out. We have an application form that we can send to you, or you can download straight from the IWA website. The application form has 4 pages, 2 pages to be filled out by the client and 2 to be filled out by the GP. The form is then sent back into us. A file is put together and sent out then to the relevant area where the person is and coming into for the assessment. Once we've got the file, we make contact with the person, we bring them in, and the process then starts. There are 2 types of assessment. The first one being a straightforward in-car, where the person will come in and meet the driving instructor assessor, and they're brought out in the car to see what the story is. The second one being somebody who maybe has an acquired brain injury and there are cognitive issues, and an OT assessment along with an in-car is done at that stage to determine what we do, what the next steps are.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So then that was Barry, and I think Barry was terribly interesting actually, and he's been at this a while, so he really knows what he's doing. So then to kind of follow the process through, then we to paint the scene, I suppose, for people, it was a room full of cars.
Yeah. It was a room full of cars, different makes, models, as much as you can get under the sun, really, that would fit within the RDS main hall, between modifications, lifts, swivel seats,
I think we'll hear about that. I suppose if we went, the next kind of person we went to was, we had a chat with Fred from Fort Motors.
Yeah.
Which I suppose that, if you've gotten past Barry and the Irish Wheelchair Association and you've been through your assessment, now you got to go get a vehicle. So we had a chat with Fred, and Fred filled us in on his part of, I suppose, the process.
Hello, I'm Fred from Fort Motors in Walkinstown.
Fred, why are you here today at the Disabled Drivers Motor Show?
We're here to showcase the new Ford vehicles and the adaptations that you can do for disabled drivers.
So if I was to go into Fort Motors on Walkinstown Road and I had an interest in buying a Transit, what part of the process would you be involved in?
We'd mainly show the vehicle, and then we'd, for the adaptions, it's specific adaptions to meet different customers' needs. They're all going to have different adaptions. So we'd mainly show you the vehicle, we'd show you the features on the vehicle, and then we'd introduce you to our partners, Mobility Ireland, and they'd let you see what adaptions they can do to tailor suit yourselves.
So is it a standard vehicle then that I'm going to buy, or would it be more of a stripped out version that they would get?
No, you would buy a standard vehicle, and at that stage they'd strip the vehicle to do your adaptions, like to do a tail lift on the rear of the vehicle or a ramp on the rear of the vehicle, a swivel seat. There's a range of different adaptions you can have, but it would be a standard vehicle. Now it would be a high spec vehicle, obviously. It depends on the specification that you'd require.
Okay, so it's up to the end user then what they buy. Colour, I suppose, everything would stay fairly standard then when it's leaving your showroom.
Absolutely, they had a full choice colour, engines, range, specification, the different entry levels, the whole way up to the top of the range.
Would you find the whole Ford series of vehicles would be suitable for adaptation, or could be suited to do adaptation?
Very much so. All of them are, and in fairness, Mobility Ireland will be probably the best adapter in the country at the moment.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Fred.
So that was Fred. And I suppose Fort Motors, they had some pretty cool vehicles there as well. But I mean, the interesting part for me was, I suppose, it's a standard vehicle you're buying, so there's still the cost of buying an actual entire van or car or Transit. You're not getting stripped out things. You're not actually getting it any cheaper. I think that was something that struck me. I like cars. I won't be a car freak or anything like that. But I thought it was interesting that it still has to be taken away. It's not coming in empty. And then the next step in the process, which we had a little chat then with Tanya from OC Cars they're out towards Swords out in North County Dublin. And Tanya kind of brought us through their process, their kind of the last stage of it, really.
Yeah, what they offer motorists in terms of modifications.
Good. Now, here's Tanya.
Hi, my name is Tanya and I'm from OC Cars and Mobility. We're based on the Old Airport Road in Santry. We do mobility adaptations for both driver and passenger, and we also sell wheelchair accessible vehicles, both passenger and driver. Today we're at the Drivers Mobility Show, and we're going to show a range of mobility adaptations that we have on display, and also wheelchair accessible vehicles. So if I take you towards the Toyota Auris, I'll show you what's available in this car. On display today we have a boot hoist. What the boot hoist does, it basically picks up your wheelchair or your mobility scooter and puts it in the boot of the car. The idea obviously behind this is that you're not needing ramps and so on, so you're independent, that you can bring your mobility scooter or wheelchair with you. If you want to move forward towards the front of the car, we'll show you adaptations for driving the vehicle. In the front of the car there you will see a push-pull hand control. Basically what the hand control will do, it is if you have issues with your feet and obviously you can't use the pedals, the push-pull hand control will basically do the accelerator and the brake. So you'll have control over the car at all times. On the steering wheel you'll see a spinner there that is attached to wheel so that you can obviously have the free ease of turning the wheel at all times. Going forward then, we will move towards the Toyota RAV. What we've got in there is a swivel seat. The swivel passenger seat, and you can have a swivel driver seat. Basically what they do is they will turn a 90-degree angle to give you access to both driver and passenger position. On the driver side, we have a transfer plate. What the transfer plate will do, it'll bridge the gap over the sill. So if somebody is transferring from the wheelchair, they can do the transfer comfortably and safe into the driver or passenger position in the car. Moving forward, we can go towards the Fiat Cubo. The Fiat Cubo is on display today, and what that is, it's called a switch. So that allows the wheelchair user to be either drive from the wheelchair or up front passenger or rear passenger. So there's 3 different positions available in this car. Or if you have the ability to transfer from the wheelchair, you can do so. You can do so by docking your wheelchair in the front passenger position and transferring onto the driver's seat. Finally, we have the Volkswagen Caddy available, and what the Volkswagen Caddy entails, it has a 6-way driver seat. So again, you will have an electronic tailgate and ramp. You can transfer from your wheelchair onto the driver's seat and obviously drive the car safely and comfortably.
So you were talking about quite a wide range of adaptations, but would there be an average kind of price range for these adaptations, or does it vary kind of case by?
Generally, if you're obviously, say, doing driver's hand controls, they would start at a range of 695 plus the VAT. Anything VATable can be refunded, if you like, under the Disabled Drivers Passenger Scheme. So there are an array of driver adaptations available, but the starting price, as I say, on a push-pull hand control would be from 695 plus VAT.
Okay. And would you have any advice for anybody who is looking to get into driving to start off with, because it's not exactly mainstream, I suppose, the avenues that you go through for disabled driving. So would there be any advice in that area?
Certainly, what I would say is obviously come down to ourselves. As I say, we're OC Cars and Mobility on the Old Airport Road in Santry. We will carry out an assessment and we'll give you our advice on what adaptation would suit you to obviously drive the car safely.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Super. So that was Tanya from OC Cars. I just from a personal point of view, just from a gadgety kind of thing, I was kind of astonished with some of the stuff that they could do, hoists and getting wheelchairs into the back of cars and that one they had there where rather than literally drive straight into the back of the car and into the driver's position and get strapped in. That was it for me from a gadget point of view.
Yeah, and I think with that example in particular, you drive the car with a joystick. So I suppose from a personal perspective, that would be great. I think Darragh is looking at me and going, "Don't let him anywhere near that,"
no.
Because
clearly not.
He's a health and safety risk. So yeah, no, it's amazing to see the advances that are currently taking place and the advances that could take place in the future. That's really exciting. And we just thought we'd let you know that these options are out there. And you can contact the Disabled Drivers Association at their website, disableddrivers.ie, I think.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah. That's it. Google it. Google it.
Google it.
Google that.
In the modern society, I suppose, Google everything. And then the IWA are at iwa.ie.
Okay, and you can contact us. A nice little segue there. Then you can contact us again at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Dan and Darragh Doability. You can also get us at Dan and Darragh at gmail.com. Dan and Darragh Doability at gmail.com. Thank you very much. So just a couple of the things that we're going to be looking at coming into the future. We're going to be sticking with the transport team. We're going to be looking at hopefully the changes that we've seen with Irish Rail and around the DART. Previously it was a 24-hour notice period, which is quite extraordinary for people with mobility issues, for them to give notice to Irish Rail if you want to travel. So we're going to have a look at that. We think things have changed there. There might be marginally better, just less time. What else we said we're going to look at?
We're also going to look at. You were saying to me earlier on that you were speaking to, a
Therapeutic riding.
yes.
Yes, yeah. Rathfarnham Equestrian Centre. We're going to have a chat with them. They do a lot of good work with people and horses. You know, I'm going to leave it at that and keep the suspense. You can learn along with me. Which would be pretty good. We also had a look at that Out My Way campaign.
Yes.
So we're going to have a chat with them. For anyone who doesn't know, it's kind of where you see things in the path of people, you know, nice sandwich boards advertising your nice little cafe and stuff like that. That's lovely, but you know, it's very hard to get a wheelchair around it, or a guide dog, or you know, you and your cane. So we'll be having a look at that. So that's kind of it for this episode, I think, Dan.
That's it for now. But we will be back very soon. And we look forward to chatting to you then.
Absolutely. This has been Dan and Darragh Do Ability. I'm Darragh McNicholas.
And I'm Dan Airy.
Good evening, good night, and good luck.